Okay, boys and girls, this is your Radial Symmetry design project you're going to be doing. This is going to be a drawing. We'll start in pencil, then we'll add Sharpie, and then you can finish the project with marker or crayon. You're going to start by having a circle just like this on your paper, a circle tracer. You're going to trace your circle because remember radial means circle, symmetry means the same. So we're going to start with our circle so that we can create a symmetrical design. So you're going to trace your circle and you'll be left with a circle just like that. Then you're going to use a ruler to divide your circle either into 4 or 8 sections. Another word for that is partition. Partition means to divide it into equal segments. So you're going to divide your circle in half. So that's partition it into 2 parts. Then you're going to divide it in half the other direction. That's a vertical line. And that leaves you with 4 wedges of your design. You can leave it at 4 if you'd like to, or you can add 8. So to do 8, you would divide it in half one direction and then divide it in half. You want to be sure your line goes straight across the middle, and you're just kind of eyeballing it to be sure that you're in the center and that it's equal. Once you have your circle partition into the number of shapes you want, now you're ready, or the number of wedges you want. Now you're ready to start adding shapes to this. You have a shape tracer you can use to add shapes on there, or you can add your own if you want to. If you just want to add some circles to the middle, you can do that, or you can free draw these hearts and stars. I don't have tracers for those, so you'll need to draw your own of that type of shape, or any kind of organic shape if you wanted to do flowers. Remember, this is a symmetrical design, so whatever you do in one shape, you need to do in the other in one wedge. You don't have to do it in each, but you need to at least do it in an A-B pattern, alternating the wedges where you draw your design. I'm going to make mine all the same, so I'm going to go add that into each one. Correct. The reason we draw this in pencil first is so that we can correct mistakes as we go along. Still not happy with that. Fix that again. There we go. And you're just going to keep adding whatever you think you want to add. Maybe I want to add an arch there. Again, I can do an A-B pattern and do that in every other one. Or I can do that shape, that arch line, in every wedge to make it symmetrical that way. As you are drawing, remember all the different types of lines we've used: vertical, horizontal, diagonal, curved, zigzag. There are a lot of different lines to choose from. There are a lot of different shapes to choose from. You can really use whatever you want to use to complete this design. I'm going to add some circles in here. Trying to keep them about the same. When you're eyeballing it, it's not going to be exact, but as long as it's close to symmetrical, then you're good. Just like that. Now, that looks good. I'm happy with what I've done, and it looks nice. But there's still a lot more I could do. This drawing could really stand to have a background. It really needs something more to it. In your background, you can add shapes, but remember, whatever you add needs to be symmetrical. So if I draw a star here, I need to have a star there, a star there, and a star there. All of my corners need to match. If I draw a heart, I need to have a heart in each corner. Or I could draw an angle design coming off the corners. But whatever you do needs to be symmetrical. If you don't want to add shapes to your background, you could add just lines. You could add a checkerboard design. You could add diagonal lines. So I'm going to start with horizontal lines coming across my page. You want to draw these lines so that they go behind your circle. It's going to really make it look like it's jumping off the page. So you stop when you get to your circle, and then you continue your line elsewhere. See what a difference that's making already? It really makes your design look nice and gives it a more complete look. Now, I'm happy with that, but I still think I could do a little bit more. I could add some more lines going up and down, or I could add some diagonal lines. I think I might add some diagonal lines to this design. Remember, this is your drawing. You can do whatever you want to. I want you to be as creative as possible, but still creating a radial symmetry design and creating some kind of background to go behind your symmetrical design. There we go. Now, that is a design I'm happy with. I'm ready to move on and ready to start coloring this in. Before you start coloring it in, you need to trace all of your lines with Sharpie so that your lines show up really well and you can see what you've been doing. The next step is to trace all of your lines in Sharpie. Remember, Sharpie is a permanent marker, so it will not wash. Because of that, you need to be very careful with your marks. You need to be sure of the marks you're making, and you need to be very careful that you are not marking on the table. You can start with whichever lines you want to mark first with Sharpie. That does not matter, as long as by the time you are finished, every pencil mark you made on this paper has been traced with Sharpie. When you are finished tracing all of your Sharpie lines, you should have a nice image that looks something like this. You want to go back in and erase any stray pencil marks, anything that's showing maybe you missed your line a little bit with the Sharpie, and it's okay if you do that. That happens to everybody, but you just want to make sure you erase those lines out of there so they don't show through when you go to color. And then that is what your drawing should look like after you finish with the Sharpie. The final step of this project is to color. Remember I said you could color with crayons or markers, whichever you choose. Whatever you choose to color with, you need to color neatly and carefully. It's called using good craftsmanship. Craftsmanship has to do with how careful you are, how thoughtful you are with your artwork, and how neat you are with it. So you're going to color with good craftsmanship. As you color, you need to color in a symmetrical pattern. You could do all 8 or all 4 of yours the same, or you can color in an A-B pattern. You cannot color in patterns of 3, so you just have to be sure you color in patterns of either all the same or in patterns of 2 and 4. Remember, you're going to be thoughtful and careful with your coloring, doing a nice, neat job with it. So we're not going to make a mess of our coloring. I'm going to color mine in an A-B pattern. Now, you may have noticed that I have an extra piece of paper behind my paper that I'm drawing on. The piece of paper behind my drawing is a little bit bigger. I just got a piece of free draw paper, so you can get a piece of free draw paper, you can get a scrap out of the recycling bin, you can get a piece of newspaper, but get something to go behind your paper so that you're not marking on the table. We don't want to get marker on the table. It washes off, but it's just less chance of damaging your artwork and having it smear on your paper if you cover yourself and you have a piece of paper behind it. So I'm going to start coloring my background, same as before, neatly and carefully. So when you are completely finished, you should have something that looks very much like this, neatly colored. I've used good craftsmanship. You can go back and fill in any little holes you see that aren't colored in. You can use some white as part of your design, but it needs to be carefully planned out, something you thought about. It needs to be an intentional part of your design. That means you meant for it to be there, not just random haphazard white spots on your paper that you did not color in. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoy this project, and I can't wait to see the beautiful radial symmetry designs you come up with.